Welcome to the company. We're so excited to have you here for your interview today. Candidate gives some answer. Oh my gosh, I love that accent. Where are you from? Sounds innocent enough, right? Except maybe not, because in the world of interviewing, it is a landmine of opportunity to get you and your organization in immense trouble asking things that you can't ask because it exposes protected classes. I'm Lindsay, your new favorite HR consultant. And while I'm not an attorney, I've been in HR for over 15 years and I have seen some things. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about interviewing and making sure that we're asking proper questions in an interview. Because I have seen and heard all kinds of things in my career. Many of them make me go, oh, please don't ever do that again. So let's talk about those things so that you don't make those mistakes and put your organization at risk. So interviewing is a critical part of the hiring process, and you should absolutely and without question interview everyone before you issue an offer for an open position. You can do it virtually, you can do it in person, you can do it on the phone, whatever works for your organization, but you should always have a pre-prepared list of questions that is either approved by HR or by your organization's employment attorney to make sure that you stay out of trouble and you're not asking questions that you're not supposed to. So let's go through some of those questions, things that I've heard in my career, and make sure that you're not asking them and that you understand why asking them is a really bad idea. But before we get to those categories, I want to talk briefly about job descriptions. Please, 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 with all the sugar on top, have a complete job description drafted before you even post the role as open. That job description is what should guide the interview and the job description only. When we're interviewing people, we should only be asking questions that are relevant to the job and the company culture at hand. Company culture can be tricky. So again, have your pre-written questions that have been approved by either HR or by legal, but that's it. That's all we're asking about. It should be a conversation. All interviews should be a conversation. They should never be an interrogation. And it shouldn't feel like you're playing ping pong. Interviewer asks a question, interviewee answers. Interviewer asks a question, interviewee answers it. Because A, those are boring, and B, it doesn't really give you any idea on either side of what this person is really about. Because an interview is not a one-way street. Sides are interviewing each other to determine if this is a good fit. So let's talk about some of those bad interview questions and give you some that are great ones that you can use and still be compliant. All right. First category is family, marital status, and pregnancy. Yee, big EF on the last one. Okay. So obviously pregnancy is a protected class. We all know this by now. Now you do. It is also someone's family situation, not relevant. You can't ask about it. So the question of, do you have childcare for your kids? Nope, we can't ask that. That's one of the big ones. Like, please don't. Are you married? Nope, can't ask that one either. Anything, anything that has to do with someone's home life is a no, an immediate no. Are you pregnant? No, 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 no. So instead of asking these terrible questions, we're going to look at our job description and we're going to ask different questions. So here's some questions that you can ask that are relevant to the job description and keep you in the lane of clean. Are you able to meet the travel requirements of this role? If your job description lists a travel requirement, you can ask, are you able to meet the travel requirement listed in the job description? That one's clean. How about this position typically works Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. local time. Are you able to commit to that schedule? Perfect. That one works. You can use that one. It's relevant to the job and it gives you the information that you need. Are you going to be able to be here when we need you to be here? Cool. Those are fine. Other ones, not. Second category is Country of origin, nationality, and citizenship. Okay, this one gets a lot of people in trouble. And that first example that I gave when I opened the video is a great one, right? I love your accent. Where is it from? Irk. Nope, can't ask that. Because their country of origin, not relevant. In 99.9% of situations, if you have a true situation where that is relevant, clear it through legal first, clear it through legal first, clear it through legal first, and make sure that you're asking the question in an appropriate way. But for 99.9999% of you, it's absolutely irrelevant. Don't ask it. Questions you can't ask. Is English your first language? Erg. Nope. Are you a US citizen? Erg. Again, if you're like a federal contractor and you require stuff like that, that's a little bit different. But for the majority of you hiring for a regular role, absolutely irrelevant. Instead, here's a great question that you can ask. It's perfectly safe, and you can use it in every situation. Verbatim, it goes like this. Are you legally required to work for any company in the United States with or without sponsorship? Boom. That one's kosher. You can use that one. Why? Because it doesn't matter what kind of employer you are in the US. If you're hiring an employee or anyone to work for you in any capacity, under federal law, you all know, because of the E-Verify system and other things that exist, that everyone must be legally authorized to work in the United States in order to perform work for your company. You can ask the question in that context exactly the way I said it. That's it. All right. Category 3, religion. Okay, I get it. You got everyone in the company is Christian. And so you want to make sure that you have, no, and no. Okay, religion is probably one of the top protected classes that there is, and it is super easy to get in trouble for this one. So please, 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 in an interview or just in general business operations, don't ask about religion, okay? It's not your business. So we don't ask questions like, do you observe additional religious holidays that you might need time off for that I should know about? Nope. No deal. Absolutely no deal. Again, we're going to go back to a schedule question here. Are you able to work Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.? That's it. Boom. That's it. Stick to the schedule. Stick to the job description. If you have weekends, if Sundays are common, here's the schedule. Okay, it includes weekends, it includes Sundays, whatever your situation is. Can you work this schedule? And that's it. Stick to the job description, stick to what's relevant. Do not ask anyone about their religious preferences, their religious beliefs, their religious views. It's irrelevant. Now, for those of you that are sitting here going, well, Lindsay, I work for a church. Yes, you are an exemption. If you are registered with the federal government and the state as a religious organization, the rules for you are a little bit different. But for the vast majority of you, religion is irrelevant to your interview process. Do not ask about it. All right, next one. Age. Ah, yes, my second favorite category. And I find this one a lot more catches people because you don't realize you're asking that question. Okay, even in small talk, even in just polite conversation, this one happens all the time. And it's innocent. I get it. You weren't trying to, but unfortunately in this one, not trying to doesn't matter. Okay, so you and I look like we're about the same age. Do you remember this song that was super popular back when we were in high school? Sounds innocent. We're just making conversation. Yeah, no, it's a no. And it doesn't even matter if the interview has formally started yet, you still can't do it. Okay, it's a no across the board. No, can't do it. Okay, we don't ask someone when they graduated from anything. We don't ask someone for the years that they worked at certain companies because it can give away their age. Okay, ignorance is bliss in the age category. You don't want to ask or suggest anything that could give you any kind of inclination to what this person's age is. And the biggest one that really is a pet peeve for me and makes me very angry, so please don't do it. Like, how much longer do you plan on working before you retire? Oh, no, 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 and no. Okay. If the role has an age requirement, it's typically going to be on the opposite end, right? You have to be at least 18 or 21, depending on what the role does. You don't ask, how old are you? No, that's a no. The role requires you to be at least 21 years of age. Do you meet that requirement? Cool. That's okay. Because we're not asking how old are you. We're saying, are you at least 21 to check this box for the job requirement? Yes? Beautiful. Let's move on. That's it. Nothing else in the age category. But I will have a brief rabbit moment and remind you that workers who are older are oftentimes the most amazing people for your business, particularly if you're headed into a time of change, because the knowledge that these people have from their immense experience is irreplaceable. And you really would probably benefit from having that level of knowledge in your organization. So don't let age be a deterrent ever, aside from the fact that it's not legal. Okay, there's that. But also, just from a people perspective and a business perspective, that experience can be invaluable to you. So keep an open mind. All right, last category, health and disability. You can't ask anything about these questions either. This is another just don't, okay? These questions can again, they can be innocent, but usually they're not. Okay, so like don't try and come at me and say, well, I didn't mean it. Yeah, you totally did. Okay, so like don't come at me here. Don't play with me. No, you didn't. Here we go. How's your health? Nope. Nope. Have you ever filed a workers' comp claim before? Nope. Yep. Nope. Do you have any disabilities that I should know about? No. No. Nope. That's not it either. Here's the question you are allowed to ask. Again, verbatim. Here is the job description for this role. Are you able to perform the tasks and duties listed in the job description with or without reasonable accommodation? That's the question you can ask. And that's the only question you can ask. And then we move on. Okay. A lot of people will ask because it's in the job description, they'll be like, can you list 50 pounds? Here's where my concern is with that. While the question itself is, again, seemingly innocent, you're asking a question straight off the job description. I get it. But what concerns me about that is that a candidate can feel like that you're asking a loaded question, even if you don't mean to. So while a lot of people will tell you that because it's in the job description, you can ask it, my professional opinion as an HR consultant, as someone who's been in HR for 15 years, is that you don't ask the can you lift 50 pounds question because it can come off as a loaded question to the candidate. Stick to the reasonable accommodation. Can you do the tasks and duties listed in this job description with or without reasonable accommodation? That's it. Stick to the statement. Then you're not putting the candidate in a position where they feel like it's loaded. And if they do, you're asking it in a very closed way because it's really a yes or no question. And yes or no is the only answer that you want in that situation. Okay. So there's your 5 categories, right? Family and pregnancy, nationality, race, citizenship, country of origin, however you want to word it. Religion, age, health and disability. Those are the 5 common categories where people get themselves in trouble. Please don't do it. A couple other warnings in this, since we're talking about things that are a bad idea when it comes to questions and interviews. I get the urge to want to stalk, right? Social media check your potential candidate, right? I'm going to encourage you not to do that. And here's why. People on social media oftentimes forget that employers can see it. And you may see something on someone's social media that defines them as being in a protected class. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so it is better off, in my personal opinion, that you just don't. Just don't do it. Don't do the social media stalking. Resist the urge. If you really have a concern that is business related to someone's social media presence, Talk to your background check company. They will do the social media check for you. Most background check companies offer that service these days. Do it that way so it's someone outside the company who's doing the check, not you. And there's no potential for the company to know things that they're not supposed to know. Okay, so just don't resist that urge, please. Also, as a reminder, the interview starts the moment that you contact the candidate to begin the process. The interview process starts the moment you contact a candidate to begin the interview process. It doesn't start when everyone sits down at the table at the in-person interview. That's not it. Okay, so someone sees your job ad online, they submit an application, and you contact them to start the process. That's where the interview process starts. The application process starts sooner. The interview process starts as soon as you contact that person. All the things that we just talked about apply not only to the interview process, but also to the application process, right? It's the whole process. You can never ask these questions, including on your application. It's a no-no. A couple others that should not be on your application. You should never ask someone for their social security number or their date of birth on an application. Again, not relevant. If you need something related to age, ask the yes or no question. Are you at least X amount years old? Okay. Ask that one as a yes or no question. Do not ask their date of birth. You don't need a social security number in order to determine whether or not you want to interview somebody, so don't ask it. I also encourage you not to ask someone's address because there is a whole thing about postal codes and judgment on people's financial situation. Just don't do it. You don't need to know it. Make sure that every single thing on your application relates solely and entirely and only to the job description at hand. The less you ask on an application, in my opinion, sometimes the better. My applications, when I write them, they simply ask you for your name, your phone number, your email address, a copy of your resume. Are you legally authorized to work in the United States with or without sponsorship? Can you perform the duties with or without reasonable accommodation? That's it. That's all I ask on an application. I don't want to know anything else. Food for thought. So what happens if something slips out of your mouth and you're like, oh crap, I wasn't supposed to ask that? Don't ignore it. Okay. Don't pretend like it didn't happen. Here's my favorite. Actually, let me rephrase that question and then say it correctly. It's cool. Acknowledge your error and move on. Okay. This is where the pre-approved list of questions that I keep talking about is going to be really helpful. It's going to help keep you on track and it's going to help keep you from asking something that you shouldn't. One last thought here. If you've never interviewed somebody before, do some mock interviews with your coworkers before you go do one for real to make sure that you are comfortable with asking the questions, that you're comfortable in the environment, and that you're not saying things you're not supposed to. Do that role playing. I get it. Role playing is the most awkward thing ever. I hate it, so I never force people to do it. But in this situation, I do recommend it. So you get that little bit of exercise, a little bit of practice in this art of interviewing people. And you'll feel more comfortable when you go in to do your first real interview if you've done some of those mock ones ahead of time and you're confident in your questions and what you're going to ask. Again, keep it a conversation, not an interrogation. I'm Lindsay with North Star HR. If you have questions about interviewing, please feel free to drop questions here. I will answer as many of them as I can. And make sure to subscribe to the channel that you're watching this on because you never know. All kinds of interesting things get posted on my social media every day.